It is in this courtroom that trials and other proceedings at the International Criminal Court take place. The ICC tries individuals charged with the gravest crimes of concern to the international community: war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity. This is where the judges sit during the proceedings. The ICC has 18 judges, not only from different countries, but from different continents.
The judges work together in small groups called chambers. There are three kinds of chamber at the court: the pretrial and trial chambers. Each consist of 3 judges per chamber, and the appeals chamber has 5 judges.
The International Criminal Court is now in session. L'audience de la Cour pénale internationale est ouverte.
L'audience est ouverte, vous pouvez vous asseoir.
The main role of judges is to ensure fair and expeditious trials with full respect for the rights of the accused and with regard to the protection of victims and witnesses. The judges hear witnesses and any other evidence presented by the prosecutor, the defense, or the legal representatives of victims. Then, they assess the credibility and argument of the parties and issue a decision in the interest of justice.
A day of proceedings at the court requires the participation of interpreters, sonographers, security, audiovisual technicians, victims and witnesses support, defense assistants, protocol, IT technicians, public information officers, and many other services. They are all part of the registry.
Many of the services are not visible in the courtroom, but they are an essential part of organizing any hearing.
Monsieur le Président, peut-être puis-je intervenir pour essayer de faire...
On the side of the courtroom is where the prosecutor, the trial lawyers, case managers, and assistants to the prosecution team are seated in the courtroom during the proceedings.
The investigators in the field interview witnesses and suspects and collect documents and materials which will enable them to determine the way in which crimes were committed and to identify those persons most responsible for the commission of such crimes.
Once those persons are identified, the Office of the Prosecutor submits a request to the judges asking them to issue a warrant of arrest or a summons to appear. A suspect's first appearance in the courtroom takes place shortly after the arrival in The Hague. It is called the initial appearance. In this part of the proceedings, the judges of the pretrial chamber confirm the identity of the suspect, ensure that the suspect understands the charges, determine the language in which the proceedings will be conducted, and sets the date for the beginning of the confirmation of charges hearing.
Bosco Ntaganda nayo mazina abiri niyo niswe n'ababyeyi nkaba nakoraga umurimo wa gisirikare nkuko mubizi muri Congo.
Thank you very much. You could be seated.
Normally, a defense team consists of the lead counsel, other counsels, a case manager, and a number of assistants depending on the case. Suspects are represented by the lawyer or lawyers of their choice, or by a lawyer appointed by the court if they do not have one. At the initial appearance, judges usually set a date for the first day of the confirmation of charges hearing.
Je voudrais souligner que cette audience n'est pas un procès. Cette chambre n'est pas appelée à se prononcer sur la culpabilité ou l'innocence de M. Gbagbo, mais seulement à décider si la présente affaire doit être renvoyée devant une chambre de première instance pour y être jugée.
During the hearing, all parties and participants in the proceedings, the prosecutor, the defense, and the legal representatives of victims present their case to the judges of the pre-trial chamber.
We will show that Mr. Gbagbo and forces under his control are responsible for the deaths, rapes, serious injuries to, and arbitrary detention of countless law-abiding citizens. civilians who were perceived to support Mr. Ouattara.
First, the prosecutor is presenting the case, supporting each of the charges with evidence. The defense has an opportunity to discuss the prosecutor's evidence and presents its own evidence. The legal representatives of victims can also present their views during the confirmation of charges hearing and discuss the evidence presented by the prosecutor and the defense. The ICC is the first international criminal court that has enabled victims to participate in the proceedings. Upon approval from the judges, the legal representatives of victims can also question witnesses, make opening and closing statements. Victims can also come to testify and present evidence.
599 victimes participent à cette audience de confirmation des charges. Femmes, hommes et enfants qui ont directement souffert des événements qui se sont déroulés en République de Côte d'Ivoire.
Oral hearings end with closing statements.
La défense démontrera que le procureur n'apporte aucun élément de preuve suffisant qui permette d'établir des motifs substantiels de croire que les 4 événements choisis par lui se sont déroulés comme il le prétend.
Within 60 days after the end of the confirmation of charges hearing, the judges can do one of the 3 things. They can suspend the hearing and ask the prosecutor to provide more evidence, which means the hearings continue at the pre-trial stage. They can decide to decline to confirm the charges, which means the case could be closed if the decision is not appealed. If the judges decide to confirm the charges, the case proceeds to trial. A trial chamber with other judges is then composed and has to make all the necessary arrangements to facilitate the fair and expeditious conduct of the trial.
The International Criminal Court is now in session. L'audience de la Cour pénale internationale est ouverte. Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
ICC 0109-0111. Nous sommes en audience publique, Monsieur le Président.
But what is a trial? What does it look like? First, the prosecutor presents evidence. Evidence can be witness testimonies, document, and sometimes material evidence such as clothes, uniforms, weapons, photographs, videos, audio recordings, and such other materials that will be relevant to them.
How long did this event last?
Je traverse. Voilà, les camions arrivent. Ils embarquent. Je fais marche arrière. Le temps de tourner, les ramener. J'arrive. J'accoste. Ils descendent. S'il y a des blessés de l'autre côté, ils montent. Je fais marche arrière. Je tourne. Je les ramène à Zongo. De l'autre côté, il faut amener munitions. C'est comme ça. Cette rotation-là, je vous dis.
The defense also has the right to cross-examine prosecution witnesses.
You had never seen Jean-Pierre Bemba, had you?
Le client que vous défendez ses intérêts, je l'ai vu, je l'ai transporté de Zongo à Bangui par 2 fois, dis-je.
At this point, the defendant is no longer considered a suspect, but an accused. The accused is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. The accused has the right to conduct the defense in person or through counsel of his or her own choosing. After the prosecutor concludes what is called the prosecution case, then the defense's case starts.
Le procureur vient, nous donne un certain nombre d'éléments et sur ces éléments, nous essayons, nous, d'enquêter pour voir la part de vérité, la part de contre-vérité qui peut être amenée par le procureur dans sa preuve. C'est ce qu'on appelle challenger la preuve du procureur. L'autre aspect du travail de la défense est de rapporter les éléments qui viennent au soutien de la thèse de notre client. C'est ce qu'on appelle, et c'est la deuxième partie du procès, apporter des témoins qui viennent témoigner dans la part de vérité que le client lui-même, que l'accusé lui-même veut faire valoir devant les tribunaux.
Upon conclusion of the trial proceedings, the trial chamber issues its decision acquitting or convicting the accused. If the accused is convicted, the trial chamber issues a sentence for a specified term of up to 30 years, or when justified by the extreme gravity of the crime and the individual circumstances of the convicted person, life imprisonment. The trial chamber may also order reparations to victims. Convicted persons will serve sentences in one of the countries designated by the court from a list of states that offer the court the use of their prison facilities. The office of the prosecutor, the defense, the legal representatives of victims have the right to appeal the verdict and the sentence. In this case, a new chamber, the appeals chamber, is created for the appeals proceedings. The appeals chamber consists of 5 judges who can confirm the decision of the trial chamber, reverse or amend the decision of conviction, or order a new trial before a different chamber.